Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
Hello and welcome to the show. We have some of the best bits of the previous week coming up for you in the next half an hour. So here's a sneak peek at 3 of those reports. Lasting look. The clothes by Antithesis are designed for many years of wear. Nuts and bolts. That's what sculptor Martí Moreno uses for his creations. And mind your manners. The rules of etiquette in Germany date back to a man called Knigge. When you grow up in the mountains, skiing must be in your blood because Markus Eder has never been afraid of the steep slopes. Today, the brave 22-year-old is rated as one of the world's top free skiers. This means that at one point he found the classic form of downhill skiing too boring and he headed off-piste in search of something more exhilarating. We caught up with him at a competition in Switzerland that will blow your mind.
The Swiss Alps around Zermatt are center stage for Markus Eder. The native of South Tyrol in northern Italy is starting from an altitude of 3,145 meters. He's going to hurtle down the mountainside while performing spectacular tricks in an extreme sport known as free skiing.
What I like most about free riding and free skiing is the freedom, going to the mountains and skiing with friends. I don't have a coach who tells me what to do or how to train.
Eder is a rising star in his sport. The 22-year-old has already won many competitions over the years, including a competition at the Freeride World Tour. Now he's one of the stars for Europe at the Swiss tournament.
It's a lot more relaxed here, because you know every skier and there's a really laid-back atmosphere with everyone together.
The International Swatch Skiers Cup is taking place for the 3rd time, but this is its European premiere. 16 of the world's best extreme free skiers are competing here in 2 teams. Each time, a skier from Europe will face off against someone from Team USA, and the jury will award points. The team that collects the most points wins.
They will look at the jumps, the tricks, the control, the fluidity. So we need to see that the rider has fun, that he's doing his tricks in control, and that he's using the terrain very well.
This sport isn't for the squeamish. Skiers wear helmets and carry shovels and emergency transmitters, all stashed in a backpack with an integrated airbag. A rescue helicopter hovers above the race. The terrain is tested beforehand to minimize the risk of avalanches. The skiers cannot begin until the all clear is given and a safety officer has checked the emergency gear.
This is a high-risk sport, and you should minimize the risk as much as possible. The only way to do that is if you know the skiers are top-notch. We know that, and we know the terrain extremely well.
Eder was born in 1990 in the town of Brunico. He started skiing at 4 and was soon training hard and taking part in races. But by the time he was 13, he was burned out and could no longer take criticism from his coach.
And then my father bought me freestyle skis for Christmas. Starting at 14, I spent about 6 years just skiing at snow parks. But I've been skiing off the main trails for about 3 years now.
He became a free skier who jumps obstacles in snow parks and performs tricks. But eventually, Eder swapped these artificial obstacles for very real slopes. Even as a beginner, he won prizes, as he did in 2011 in France.
My proudest moment was getting second spot in Vars. I didn't want to take part to begin with, because I didn't have any experience. Then I made second place straight away. I was very proud.
The competition made Eder internationally renowned. Soon, sponsors were flooding in to offer the Italian skiers sports articles, and later on, financial support. The amateur had become a professional overnight and went on to win yet more competitions.
I'd like to carry on until I'm 40.
It's the last day of the competition, and the skiers are showing off their best jumps in the backcountry slope-style event. With some help from Markus Eder, the Europeans win 21-11.
If you're a 21st century woman with an overflowing daily calendar who works hard and plays hard, fashion designers René Lacroix and Zara Ash Harper are on hand to help. Having taken inspiration from friends who juggle busy work and home lives, the duo have designed a collection to ease the transition from day to night, work to leisure, or even casual to formal. The new label is called Antithesis, and all of their multifunctional pieces are made entirely in the UK.
Fashion made easy. British label Antithesis has designed a range based around just 10 pieces that can be combined to create 40 different looks. These are clothes for women with a social and environmental conscience who are too busy for fussy fashion.
By having a garment that you can wear different ways, we want to encourage people to buy less, but to buy better.
And to really love the pieces that they have and to think about how they can sustain those pieces over a lifetime. So durability, both emotionally and physically, is really important for us.
The fall-winter collections only just hit the catwalks at London Fashion Week, but Lacroix and Harper Ash are already hard at work on their spring looks. In fact, their clothes should last for more than just one season. Antithesis is all about outfits that can serve as wardrobe staples for many years to come.
Antithesis is not about things being in opposition, it's about being alternative.
Trends are so
Dominant.
Important in the fashion industry, and every time you go to trade show, it's all about what's the next color, what's the next shape, what's the next skirt length. So the thing is not to look at any of these and try to look at classics. For example, the trench coat. Why is it that the trench coat for 100 years hasn't changed much?
But judging by the crowds at London Fashion Week, the fashion industry is still very much about passing fads. It's one of the 4 major fashion events that take place around the globe, and easily the most avant-garde. The Aestheticus section is now 6 years old and showcases sustainable fashion. This year, 14 designers were selected to present their collections by a jury including Italian curator Orsolio De Castro.
I think that the high end is beginning to understand how profound an impact they have in terms of sustainability, and therefore I think everyone is exploring new options. We haven't quite yet seen that step into the mainstream that we will see over the next 5 years. I think in 5 years the panorama will be completely different, and this will be the norm.
Designer Ada Zanditon wants to prove that eco-textiles, environmentally friendly dyes, and fair working conditions are all compatible with luxury fashion. She worked for famous designers such as Alexander McQueen and Gareth Pugh before founding her own sustainable fashion label.
The way I see what we do is, if you look at fashion in general, it's always coming from the catwalks, from the smaller high-end luxury brands, and that influences what happens in the high street and in the mainstream. So for me, I very much see us as setting a trend for desirable eco-fashion.
But buyer demand also determines trends, and more customers want to know who's sewing their clothes. So a growing number of designers have their garments made locally. Antithesis commissions Olga Ankurinova. She employs 5 seamstresses and now works for 10 fashion labels. René Lacroix likes the personal contact she has here.
You get to control the quality much better, and also if there's any problem with the fabrics or the patterns, then you can come immediately and rectify the problems. And Yeah, for me it's very easy. It takes me about 15 minutes from my home or half an hour from the studio, so I can come here every week during production, make sure that the quality is good.
The latest Antithesis collection is set to be ready in March. The most expensive garment costs €520.
Good design is lasting design, and there's no reason for us to throw something away, that was beautiful.
And some of the new designs can be combined with modules from the first collection. That gives the old a new look, and definitely in fashion.
Germany's Anne-Sophie Mutter burst onto the classical music scene with her violin at the age of just 13. Critics were amazed at the incredible technical precision she possessed at such a young age, something that usually takes years to perfect. Following decades of success, she set up her foundation to help give young musicians the confidence to stand up and shine.
Anne-Sophie Mutter, one of the world's greatest violin virtuosos. At the outset of her career, she experienced how important being mentored can be. The great Austrian conductor Herbert von Karajan paved the way for her to have a great career.
All we can do is try to make the best of what God gave us. But of course, it's helpful to encounter someone who takes you under his wing.
Now it's Anne-Sophie Mutter's turn to help others. Like the 4 young members of this string quartet with fellowships from the Anne-Sophie Mutter Foundation. The foundation's goal is to help outstanding talents launch their international solo careers. One of the most successful examples is 27-year-old cellist Maximilian Hornung.
One great merit of the Anne-Sophie Mutter Foundation, and Anne-Sophie Mutter personally, is how she works to make it possible for me to audition before a conductor. That's extremely important because they simply have so much influence, especially when they are in an executive position. They simply have an awful lot of power.
Since 1997, the foundation and its circle of supporters have promoted 15 musicians, all of them players of string instruments. In fact, just being accepted for a fellowship is a huge step for most of them.
I remember how nervous I was for weeks beforehand. I couldn't even sleep soundly. It was a disaster. It was worse than any competition or concert. I was totally nervous because I have such incredible respect for Anne-Sophie Mutter.
He really has what it takes to become a great musician. He has a healthy attitude and he's focused. Those are criteria that not everyone meets.
Things are going very well for Maximilian Hornung of Augsburg. He has an exclusive contract with a major label. His debut CD was a big success and won him the renowned Echo Award for Classical Music in 2011. And his success continued with his second CD. The starter package from the Anne-Sophie Mutter Foundation almost always includes an instrument that will bring out the best of a young musician's talent, plus many other very individual things.
My tasks include playing music together, teaching, interviews and appointments with agents, record companies and conductors, the choice of master classes, and even German instruction and driver's license, even the choice of clothes for a concert. When I'm asked a serious question, there's almost nothing I wouldn't do to help them think things through and gain experience.
For the fellowship holders, the star violinist is a great role model.
This opportunity to play freely on stage is outstanding. That's what we're working toward. And it's just so impressive to experience her playing.
In June, Anne-Sophie Mutter will perform along with her protégés on tour in Asia.
And from that amazing musical talent, we move on to a very talented sculptor. Martí Moreno is based in the eastern Spanish city of Valencia. He uses basic hardware store materials like nuts and bolts to create works that show the passage of time and our own transistence and mortality. And if you think nuts and bolts don't sound very poetic, well, think again.
Fragments of human bodies, composed of thousands of metal nuts. Faces formed from metal lattice. The Spaniard Martí Moreno turns everyday materials into art.
I like to leave my works unfinished and to juxtapose the fragmentary and the finished. That way the viewer has to complete the work in his mind. I present certain components and a certain pattern. Then the viewer has the information to complete the work.
The 33-year-old artist exhibits mostly in Spain, for example in Villarreal near Moreno's home city, Valencia. But he also shows his work in foreign countries, for example this 2-meter sculpture in a Chicago hotel. Moreno's easily accessible art also has depth.
With these works, I try to express what I think is our current feeling of fragility and vulnerability. I want to show that everything is fleeting and soon vanishes.
Moreno is currently working on a sculpture for a trade fair in London. For a few years now, he has used mostly metal materials. Nuts from the hardware store are among his favorites. He creates shapes with them using a plaster model.
I was looking for a material as robust as iron, but it had to be possible to use it to fill a modeling mold. One day in my workshop I saw a box full of nuts, and I placed them in the mold, and saw that this method was suitable.
For a single sculpture, this graduate in sculpture welds up to 10,000 nuts together. He uses various widths and thicknesses to make its shape more variable. As a child, he already loved to create small figures from plasticine or clay.
You need a lot of passion. Passion and emotion are essential when you work on something, or else the result would be dead and without meaning in life. Without passion, you can't create.
Moreno works on a sculpture for 2 to 4 months. He often paints them or treats them with a liquid that promotes rust. He sells his works for between 1,500 and 12,000 euros, depending on their size. And Moreno can live from his art, despite Spain's current economic difficulties.
I'm doing well. My work sells sporadically, but the art world always has highs and lows. Suddenly you sell a lot, and then you can go for months or even years without earning anything at all.
Moreno finds inspiration for his motifs in everyday life by observing people. He captures interesting moments with his camera.
Photography helps me capture images of urbanites. In this case, it's Valencia, but it could be any other city. The thing is to capture people's feelings and transpose them into my sculptures.
In the future, Martí Moreno wants to create more large-scale outdoor sculptures. Here, he is testing the effect of this self-portrait outdoors. It also fits his art that the elements add to his work's corrosion. Now, a hotel in Beijing and one in Valencia have expressed interest in monumental sculptures just like this one.
According to a recent poll, some 98% of Germans consider good manners to be important. But in the same survey, 59% said they felt chivalrous behaviour on the part of a man is out of fashion and passé. Which brings us to the question, what exactly constitutes good behaviour nowadays? Here in Germany, the answer has always been in the pages of a many-volumed etiquette Bible written by Baron Adolph Knigge. It was written 225 years ago, and his book was the long, authoritative guide for how to behave in society. I might have to listen carefully to this one.
This is an etiquette seminar being held in a luxury hotel in Düsseldorf. The 17 participants want to learn all there is to know about good manners, including table manners. Practice starts with fake bread and plastic lobsters.
Und knackt man mit der Hummerzange die Beine ab.
The knife is an implement for cutting, not pushing. That means it remains stable and you push the fork toward the knife. That makes less noise.
We're at an age now when we often have to present ourselves in public, and good manners and etiquette are a must.
It often happens that I host German business partners, so I want to be familiar with German customs and etiquette.
What I didn't think about before was that I'm not just learning manners, but also how to give instead of taking and expecting things.
The surroundings are well suited to the subject. The hotel is one of Düsseldorf's finest. The 8-hour course costs about €200 per person and covers various areas of social life. Barbara Rumpf, who runs the seminar, says etiquette means above all being faithful to the golden rule.
It's about mutual respect. Good etiquette can make life more pleasant, that is, for other people. And when I make life nicer for others, I make it nicer for myself. That's what I think is most important.
When Baron Adolph Knigge wrote his book on human relations in 1788, he could never have imagined his name would become shorthand for showing respect and good manners in Germany, especially as the book's 450 pages contain no hard and fast rules on etiquette. Literary scholar Karl-Heinz Göttert has studied Knigge's work. He says it's more a sociological treatise infused with the spirit of enlightenment.
At some point, a wave surged forward, or if you want to put it more dramatically, an avalanche. It developed into an avalanche that Knigge didn't live to see and didn't expect. Because, in a way, he wrote the first advice book, and then came all the others, branding themselves as Knigge.
In Germany, Knigge has long been synonymous with etiquette books. Nearly every bookshop here has works on manners that trade on his name. If you've mastered Knigge, you're ready for any occasion. The recommendations are constantly being revised. For Facebook, the rule is, it's not impolite to reject friendships. We all have a right to choose who we allow to look into our private lives. The German Knigge Society even has a rule applying to latte macchiato and cappuccino. Ordering these milky coffees after a meal signals to the cook or host that you haven't had enough to eat. All that has little to do with the historical Knigge.
To be perfectly frank, these people haven't the slightest idea about Knigge. They should look at his works. He wrote 8 novels and an examination of Immanuel Kant and literature. He made use of every possible form of writing in his day. We have an edition of his collected works in many volumes, and nobody really knows it. Worse, nobody reads it.
Despite that, everyone in Germany knows Knigge, from television as well. There's a slapstick series, Kessler's Knigge, that shows how not to behave. Barbara Rumpf wants to spare her students experiences like that. So, they're putting what they've learned into practice in a 5-star atmosphere. But many have their difficulties with the stringent rules. Rumpf says that's symptomatic of today's society.
Because both parents work, nobody pays attention. Meals aren't eaten together anymore. Everyone eats alone in front of the TV or when it's convenient. And a lot gets lost, not just table manners, but also respect and politeness, behavior with others.
dieses Miteinander eben.
So courses based loosely on Baron Adolph Knigge are in great demand in Germany, even 225 years after his book was published. And one thing is still true, good manners do have to be learned.
Well, that's helped us learn a few things anyway. Good luck practicing them, and I'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.